Greetings, film freaks. We are the Podcorn Kernels. Join us as we discuss the hard and often indigestible truths that are at the center of the fluffy and delicious world of cinema.
What's poppin', people? Welcome to the Podcorn Kernels podcast. My name is Adam, and joining me in the a-holes is Harry. Say hello, Harry.
Hi, is that Christine? Yeah, it's Mark Wahlberg. How'd you know? Oh, I'm out of breath? Yeah, I'm shooting a movie. What's it about? Oh, it's about a chess player from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Yeah.
On today's episode, we will be talking about The Northman. This is a 2022 film directed by Robert Eggers and stars Alexander Skarsgård, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Klaus Bang. IMDb describes the synopsis as follows. A young Viking prince is on a quest to avenge his father's murder. Here is an original song to support the synopsis.
My path is clear. My fate I steer. Killed by betrayal. Justice prevails. A father's death, a son that's left. This boy survives. Now Uncle dies. A vow I take, one I won't break.
Let's start with some facts about the film. Director Robert Eggers worked with historians and did meticulous research into the time period to make sets, costumes and props as authentic as possible. Professor Neil Price, an archaeologist at Uppsala University in Sweden who worked on the movie, later stated that The Northman might be the most accurate Viking movie ever made.
Uppsala?
Uppsala. I'm not Swedish. I don't know how to say it. Oops, upside your head. Uppsala. I reckon it's Uppsala.
Yeah.
But would you agree? I mean, I know you've seen a fair few Viking films.
I don't know. I wonder if something like The Last Kingdom or the History Channel Vikings, that still seems quite authentic, doesn't it? It's muddy, it looks smelly, looks like people don't wash.
Yeah, Vikings are made out to be arseholes, which they were, let's be honest.
I would say there is a scene towards the end where he's wearing clothes that look way too cool. You know, after he escapes and they have a hot bath in a hot spring. Yeah,
he looks chill.
Amleth Skarsgård, he's wearing like this really soft looking like hoodie almost.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is authentic of the time. The men just look they look really good in this.
They're polished, aren't they?
When they're on that boat and they're rowing and then they do their little, what are they called? Berserkers with the bear heads.
Yeah,
that's
wolf
right.
Heads. Yeah.
They've all got the most chiseled, amazing bodies. I made a point that my other half won't like this film. I was like, you won't like this film. You won't like this film. I didn't want her to see it. I didn't want her to look at their perfect physiques.
And because you felt threatened.
Yeah. I don't want her to look at that and then watch my tits wobble when she goes over a bump whilst driving.
I mean, that's fair. I wouldn't like that either. But what struck me is, I mean, number one, I struggle to believe that Vikings back in the day would be that chiselled because they didn't have the equipment to get like that definition in their 8-packs or whatever.
They'd be very fit, physically strong. It wouldn't be a task to like haul logs for days, would it? But I think you're right. I don't think the physiques would have looked the same.
Yeah, because it's pristine action man bodies, isn't it?
Yeah, you didn't exercise for vanity reasons. It would have been something natural that occurred just because of your way of life.
Yes. But that fact interests me because a film that's so focused on prophecy and fantasy, when I hear like an expert say it's the most accurate Viking movie ever made, I'm like, but if it's all mythology, if it's all what they believed in and stuff, how can you correlate that to being realistic? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many fantastical elements within this film. To have a historian say, oh, it is really like on point in terms of accuracy, I find a bit a bit strange.
It's like Eggers avoided presentism, so he didn't allow modern day understandings of the past to show in what he was doing. I think he wanted it to look and sound different, even the language and stuff. It was something a bit mythical about it. Yeah, you could definitely enjoyed the costumes and the landscape and the ships and the swords and stuff. It looks good. I mean, it looked great.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think the authentic elements, like Professor Neil Price says, in terms of the sets and costumes and props looking authentic, there wasn't a point other than maybe, like you say, the chiseled bodies where I looked at it and thought, well, this doesn't resonate as the Viking era. In that sense, I think it was quite spot on. I tend to agree with you. The likes of Vikings felt more authentic because they spoke about their beliefs and how important gods and that were within that sort of civilization. But it was more focused on the people and their stories and characters, whereas the Northman focuses more on the sort of fantasy elements. Yeah,
because it doesn't jive in a sort of realistic sense, does it? Anything's sort of possible in this film because it's, like you said, it's encased in prophecy and mythology. So yeah, I think you do have to have a high interest in this type of storytelling to enjoy the film.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Was that Professor, what was his name, Neil something?
Neil Price.
And did he advise on the film?
Yeah, well, he worked on the film. It does, in the fact I have, it doesn't state what he did, but I'm assuming he was...
Sounds very British.
Yeah.
Neil Price?
Neil Price, Professor Neil Price from Uppsala.
Not Theo Ulgren or something?
No, Neil Price.
Neil Price.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to just accept that Professor Price knows what he's talking about and move on, I think.
Yeah, man.
The Northman got much of its inspiration from Amleth, a Scandinavian legend which later directly inspired Shakespeare's tragedy of the Danish prince Hamlet.
It's an anagram of Hamlet, isn't it? Amleth, you can spell it with
Hello.
Hamlet. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Did you notice that or did you read that?
I thought it sounded like it and then read
Yeah.
it's an anagram of it.
Yeah, I never noticed that, but that's a good
It's
shout.
exactly the same story, isn't it? Well, I think Shakespeare's Hamlet was based on a Viking tale of Amleth. Yeah, so it's not like this film steals from Shakespeare.
Yeah.
It was that Shakespeare was inspired by a Danish prince, uncle, daddy, fratricide, patricide,
Yeah.
smatricide, side.
I'm going to show my ignorance here, but I honestly thought every story Shakespeare wrote was his own. I thought he's the Mac Daddy of storytelling. And that just goes to show how thick I am in terms of literature and its history. I just thought Shakespeare, every story was his own. And to hear that he took this from a Scandinavian legend, I kind of lost a bit of respect for Billy Shakes.
Well, even David Bowie would pinch things from other musicians that were up and coming. It took someone like David Bowie to take something that was good but mediocre and make it celestial. Boom.
Yeah.
So I think Shakespeare was probably that. Yeah, thieving bastard.
Yeah, the bard's a bastard.
Oh,
there, you heard it here. Robert Eggers' previous two films were made on budgets of $9 million and $4 million, respectively.
Good.
This film had an estimated budget of $70 million to $90 million.
It's too much.
You thinks?
It's not for Eggers, really. I don't think he should be in that area, that budget bracket. I think he outperforms himself when the budget's low, because then it's almost like you're the support act and you're not the main band. But if you outshine the headliner, you win. And if you don't outshine the headliner, it doesn't matter because you're a support act. That's my biggest doubt. When I saw the trailer, I thought it looks too grand. And the cast obviously was very heavy, strong cast, expensive cast.
Well, there's some big names in the cast, isn't there? You look
Huge.
at Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, Klaus Bang, Ethan Hawke, Anya Taylor-Joy, Willem Dafoe. Bjork, they're all big names.
Yeah.
Do you think that the expectation, after his critical acclaim of his first two films, do you think the level of expectations increased? And with a bigger budget, a lot of people are thinking, well, this is going to be your masterpiece. Now you've got that backing, studio production backing, like you've got free reign to do whatever it is you want with this huge sum of money. Like, do you think the pressure was added because of that?
I think too many chefs spoil the broth.
Yeah.
I think the fact that Skarsgård played a huge role in the production, the overall film script, etc., along with a director as potent as Eggers and what he's done with The Lighthouse and The Vitch. There was a third party involved, wasn't there? Look, he's an Icelandic guy. I think he wrote a lot of it with Eggers. I don't know, it just didn't seem like an Eggers film to me. There's elements in it where I'm like, that's Eggers, but then there was bits in it where I'm like, but that's Skarsgård.
We've seen it time and time again, a director that has a huge identity, a huge style of filmmaking, and they come out of the gates with really strong films. I think you see it so often that when they've become a bigger name, they become burdened with a budget, burdened with bigger responsibilities, bigger expectations. And I certainly feel that directors' reputation can get diluted as a direct result, which I think is sad. For me, I still see a lot of what Eggers sets out to do in this film. With the bigger budget, I think he may have suffered as a result, and I think that's a damn shame. I feel like he could have made his name by just churning out these low-budgeted, niche, indie horror films. And listen, the reputation speaks for itself. I don't think that he'd have a problem with getting bigger names on board when they see the style of filmmaking that he provides.
Yeah, my issue with the film would be that the action scenes didn't detract from like the unoriginality of a lot of it. I think that's where potentially Skarsgård had more of an influence in it. I think Eggers loved, say, we spoke about it before, where it scenes like the Valkyrie riding into Valhalla and Bjork's Cirrus scene or Tree of Kings. These are very high concept, arty shots, and I was like, that's Eggers.
That's in his wheelhouse, isn't it?
I feel like that's him.
Yeah.
And then, but when it's action scenes, tops off six packs and stuff, I feel like that was more comes from someone like Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I don't know. I don't think it. I'd prefer if he'd stuck with things like The Lighthouse and that, because I found that to be very original and compelling. I know it's not conventional, but I found that even the way it looks, very original. Like it's seared into my brain, The Lighthouse, and I enjoyed The Witch. It's creepy.
Yeah.
But this one, I don't know. I don't know if it's good for him.
Yeah.
Maybe if he bounces back quickly with an indie, with a lower budget, really thought-provoking new experience, he might get away with it. But I don't even think he's very happy with this film.
No, to me it reeks of something that has been made and the production company was in his ear. It's like, look, you've got a good reputation, people love what you're doing, we love what you're doing, but we want it on a bigger scale to appeal to the masses. And that's fine, but when the film is focused, like we said earlier, on the fantastical elements and mythology, I think a lot of people are going to switch off if they're the sort of people that just want a balls to the wall action Viking film, because it's not that. And it's not like his other work, The Witch and The Lighthouse, where it's all up for interpretation and hidden meanings and stuff. It's neither one nor the other.
I know he wasn't allowed to have the opening he wanted. They said they wanted it more streamlined, more easy for people to grasp.
See, that
winds me up.
That irritates me, because if you've got a unique voice like Robert Eggers undoubtedly is, you should let him. He's a peacock. You got to let him fly. Like
I'm a peacock. You gotta let me fly.
Exactly. Like his strength is his identity, his originality. So yeah, give him a bigger budget. Yeah, back him with studio money. Like get the big stars involved. But if you're gonna do that, let him be in control of that dog. Let him steer it however he wants to steer it. And I think everyone would have benefited more if that was the case.
Yeah.
What did you like about The Northman?
I think it was nice to see Mila Jovovich casted as the young Amleth.
You should clear that up in case someone thinks Mila, you're
tell me it does. Oscar Novak does not look like Mila Jovovich.
It didn't. That didn't resonate with me, but as soon as you said it, I was like, he
horrible.
does kind of look like a, mid-30, 40-year-old Russian. Is she Russian? Russian actress. She's the actress that's the lead in Resident Evil.
Yeah.
I can't unsee that now. For context, the character Harry's talking about is the young son in the
Young
film.
Amleth.
Yeah, and yeah. So that's something you liked about the film?
No, this was a joke like. I even put joke like. It just made me laugh.
You're spot on, to be fair. Yeah,
It looks similar.
they do. Yeah,
And it freaked me out a little. But no, so first, genuine like. Is it Klaus Bang or Claes Bang?
Klaus Bang.
Klaus Bang, my man. He's my Dracula. Probably the best Dracula I've ever seen. Very layered performance in The Northman. In the epilogue, there's certainly more to his character than what the epilogue or the trailer depicts. He's not so black and white.
Yeah.
He is grey. Like you do see throughout the film, he loves his wife very much. And that his wife being Nicole Kidman after he's usurped Ethan Hawke's King Orvandil.
Yep.
After he's usurped his brother's throne, he loves his wife Nicole Kidman, and he's got a couple of kids with her, and you can tell that he does love his family. And I found his performance, I think maybe because he's an actor that hasn't done loads, but I've only ever seen him in Dracula, the BBC drama, the 3-parter I think, and he was brilliant in it, very charming, charismatic. I could enjoy him on screen a lot more. He's much more believable as a Viking. For me, I struggled with the Nicole Kidman Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
So obviously in contrast, so I'm talking about Klaus Bang's character. I found him not distracting. He was enjoyable. He was layered. I wanted to know more about him. Hard for me to settle into the Nicole Kidman, Ethan Hawke, especially the opening language.
Yeah.
It was almost like a dusty Shakespeare play, like at the Wimbledon Theatre.
Yeah, I do get what you mean, yeah.
I come to say hello to my wife like a fetid dog. I'm like, no. But I liked Klaus Bang's introduction, the way he talks, that he seems a bit mad. I really enjoyed him throughout the whole film.
I don't know much of Klaus Bang's previous work. I couldn't tell you if I've actually seen him in anything at all, but I think him as Fjolnir, the Brotherless, I thought he was great, a real menacing presence. And like you said, in a story that sort of starts off very paint by numbers, very obvious vengeance story, his inclusion in it as this villainous brother, that you get a sense that he's jealous, that he feels like he's inferior to his brother.
Yeah.
His inclusion to it added an element of interest early doors that I think the Northman really needed. Because without that sort of layered substance to the main villain of the story, it would be a bit generic.
But they let you know quite quickly that he has scorn for his brother.
Yeah.
When his brother says, onward, brother, where Ethan Hawke turns around on his horse after this is the very opening of the film, and he's coming back into his village after a season of raping and pillaging. He goes, forward, brother, and he doesn't go forward. He turns left with his men.
Yeah, I'll do what I want.
Yeah, like I'm not going to obey your order. And he's late to the look at all the jewels we stole from dead people.
Yeah.
I found him really engrossing. And I think he looked more reminiscent of what people would have looked like then. You know, a bit straggly, not fucking huge muscles, but like trim, like very... Because you wouldn't be able to just eat all the time. No. The reason the Vikings even started looking to other places to live was because the climate was so inhospitable and you couldn't grow food and stuff.
Exactly.
So they started settling in England and that. They wouldn't be so bulky.
And the Vikings in this are gym bros. They're not smashing protein bars back then, are they? They're not. No. They're not eating lean chicken and asparagus all the time.
Rice cake and fish.
Exactly. They're eating whatever they can get their grubby little hands on.
Yeah, man.
What else did you like about it?
Jarin Blaschke does it again. I mean, Lighthouse will still be his piece of art, the one everyone remembers. But again, he did the lighting, the way he framed shots. Yeah, and you need that. To portray a 9th century Scandinavia, you need someone as good as that Jarin Blaschke. And I loved what he did with Lighthouse and The Witch. Yeah. Lighthouse specifically, though, I'll say it a lot.
Yeah.
It's just brave.
He's a cinematographer that pairs so well with the vision of Robert Eggers. Robert Eggers has got a very unique voice within cinema, and I get a sense that Jarin Blaschke has that same sort of very unique identity when it comes to how he shoots.
It's like they don't need to talk to each other, innit?
Yeah,
they know.
They're sort of one hive mind sort of thing. But that actually happens to be my first like as well. So I completely agree. I adored the aesthetics of the Northman, and Jarin Blaschke makes a violent, visceral Viking vengeance film a visual triumph.
I like saying Blaschke.
Is it Blaschke?
I have no idea, but I like saying Blaschke.
It feels like it's Blaschke, but I'm going, that's purely based on his first name's Jarin. Blaschke.
Don't know.
We'll call him JB.
JB,
the main boy.
JB, main boy.
But like you said, the light in the backdrops and this sort of nightmarish imagery, it creates this unsettling and almost otherworldly viewing experience. And I hope a large percentage of that increased budget went to JB. For me, the 3 films that he's worked alongside Eggers with, he's as much of an independent voice as Eggers himself.
Yes.
And I can't wait to see what he does next. It's fascinating to see Eggers grow as a director, but equally it's fascinating to see JB grow alongside him and have this very unique way of shooting these shots. So yeah, I think
the onus is not on him to do the film successfully, because he's basically being hired to do his art, his cinematography.
Exactly, yeah.
The onus is on Eggers for it to be a good film.
Yeah.
And he's just made it look brilliant.
I'd say there's several shots in that film that you could pull out of and just watch it as a clip and being like, that is breathtaking. So within the film, they sort of show this shot of the family tree of the King Amleth.
It comes out of the film, doesn't it? It's sort of it drifts from the film that you're watching, and it shows you the Tree of Kings.
Exactly, that's it. Tree of Kings, yeah. A king, Orvandil, which is Ethan Hawke's character. It shows him, and then it shows the legacy of kings before him.
They're like on a drip almost.
Yeah, and the way it's shot is so interesting. It's not a very long scene, and it pops up 2 or 3 times within the film, and it shows the history of the family. And as it goes down the trees to forefathers that have been died for hundreds of years or whatever.
They've been dyed good.
Yeah, they're skeletal. And it's really smartly done. And I certainly think his vision, his cinematography was the number one selling point for me.
The music that plays when that scene's happening is excellent.
Pairs so well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think I said to you, I almost wanted the whole film to be that arty, to be that crazy.
Yeah.
I almost don't want the scene to be like, this is what a farm looks like in Iceland. I almost didn't want that. I wanted it all to be really eccentric.
Well, that's the perfect word to sum up Eggers' filmmaking, isn't it? It's eccentric. It's odd. It's surreal. And when he's allowed to play to those strengths, I think it works. When he's had to do a diet version of his vision because of production and because of the budget and stuff, it's sad to see.
Found that too obvious.
Oh, have you got any more likes?
My third like was of what you were saying. 3 scenes I adored. They were more on the mythological, fantastical side.
Yeah.
I loved, even though the reasoning as to how he came to find the Night Sword, which he needs to defeat his king. The reasoning of how he came to it, I dislike, but the scene itself with I think you pronounce it Draugr, which is that skeletal, huge Viking, and that fight they have in that old ship underground's brilliant. The scenes with the Valkyrie riding Skarsgård towards, say, Valhalla, that's amazing. They've got the costume of this Valkyrie. She's got mad eyes, braces on her teeth, this beautiful red cape, and she's riding, and the music's like boom, 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 boom. It's so good.
It's striking, isn't it?
And the opening shot of the volcano blowing up, and there's a voiceover, really atmospheric, but that's also is a duality with a dislike. It's weird. Okay. I think the things I liked are probably because they're reminiscent of other films.
I see.
So it was hard for me to get a definition. But yeah, it was certain shots in the film where I just paused. I thought, that looks incredible.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's not enough, though.
No, you're right, yeah. It needs to have substance with it looking aesthetically pleasing, that's for sure. I mirror your thoughts pretty much. My second like is Robert Eggers, the man himself. I think he's an exciting director, and as we mentioned, The Northman is his biggest film in terms of scale and budget. And whilst I don't think it's his best work, I'm kind of excited to see what it will bring in the future with bigger budgeted films. He has this unique brand of sort of trippy historical horror. And whilst with all these films, I don't understand large parts of them, I always enjoy the spectacle of them. And whatever you say about this film with him with a bigger budget, him being restricted by big studio companies, what he tries to do is always exciting. There's an argument to be had whether this is as exciting as the other ones. I personally in the camp of definitely not. But what he tries to do, successful or not, I admire the ambition, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Another thing I liked about it was it tended to improve on the second viewing. I don't know about you, but I think Eggers' films seem to have this strange quality where they get better the more you watch them. My first watch of The Northman, I felt a little bit cold and uncertain, but after rewatching, I found it easier to follow and enjoyed it a lot more.
I remember when you saw Northman first time and I asked you what it was like, and again, it was the same way you said about Lighthouse. You were like, I don't know yet.
Yeah, and The Witch, to be honest with you. There's so much that you can take away as an individual that my understanding would differ to yours and someone else's.
An interpretation.
Yeah, that's exactly that. Whereas this one's a little bit more formulaic. It's a little more, it's a vengeance story. And there's elements of that sort of Eggers eccentricity running through it, but it's not as prevalent as his other 2 films. And the transition from a simple vengeance story into this deeper tale of prophecy and mythology I found it more digestible the second time round. First time I saw it, like you said, I said to you, I'm not sure. Second time I was like, okay, I think I like it a bit more. Third time I was like, okay, now my decision has been made. I do know what I think about this film.
Well, if you cook a curry and eat it right after you've cooked it, it won't be half as good as if you let it rest for a whole day and night in the fridge, and the flavour will infuse the meat and it will taste better. If you're patient with it, watch it, eat it the second time, it's a lot better.
Is that true?
Yeah, of course it's true.
What, warmed up curry's better than freshly made curry?
No, so you make the curry, but then you keep it out, let it cool naturally, and then put it in the fridge. Then flavours only get better and stronger. That analogy works with what you're saying about the Northman, man.
Yeah, no, it's a good analogy.
Get out a spoon.
I I like the analogy.
But you're worried that I'm going to make you curry that's been out.
I don't want day-old curry when I can have fresh curry.
What do you think
Maybe
they
I'm
do in
uncultured.
restaurants?
They make it from scratch.
They marinate.
From Adam.
Proper
for
one,
Adam.
they'd marinate the chicken and that, and they'd put it in the fridge overnight, get all the spices to ferment, get into that meat. Like, yeah?
I'm just not going to eat curry again, thanks. What didn't you like about the Northman?
Okay, you've got to bear with me a little.
I'll
So if one's a dislike, I've got a one A, B, C, D.
Okay, go on, hit me.
Okay, Dad. For me personally, the film really struggled to find its own identity in the opening act.
Oh.
I submit my evidence as follows.
Okay, listening.
A.
Between the time the oceans drank Atlantis and the rise of the son of Arius, there was an age undreamed of, and unto this Amleth destined to wear the jewelled crown of Aquilonia upon a troubled brow.
What scene am I talking about?
I don't know. I was caught up in the impression. That was bang on, so fair play.
That is the opening of Conan the Barbarian, and it is identical to
Oi.
Hear me, Odin.
Oi.
It is exactly the same, apart from all the words.
Yeah. Okay,
And
now I
it's the
get
first thing that struck me. And I still enjoyed it, but I know why I enjoyed it. It's because I love the opening of Conan.
Yeah.
There's a voiceover, there's a prophecy foretold.
So it's same vibe, different tribe.
Very. I think even Robert Eggers said it's a mashup between Conan and something.
Yeah.
But it's too much of a mashup with Conan.
My problem with that is it's okay, I've taken direct influence from Conan. I respect your honesty, but then the other part of me is like, well, you're this really forward-thinking, immersive, original filmmaker. You've got it in you to make a completely different
But that
story.
could be the Skarsgård part.
You really want to pin this on Skarsgård,
No,
didn't you?
but if you read about it, they both as equal for production. They both play a huge part in it. It was Skarsgård who pitched it to Eggers, like, I really want to make a Viking movie.
Okay.
I think it's like two guys both trying to put what they want in the film, and I think Skarsgård, as much as I consider him an average actor. I don't love or hate him. I've seen him in Melancholia, Tarzan, and now this.
I mean,
so
they're not-
it's not a great repertoire that I've seen.
Yeah, that's fair.
I know you've said he's a pure boy. Real cool.
Yeah, he's a dude.
Yeah, he's a dude, but I'm not saying I don't like him. I think he's a cool guy. I don't rate him massively as an actor, but I also don't think the parts he potentially played in the making of this film, I don't think they did it any wonders. I think he's influenced by what he loves. Now, I couldn't tell you who was more influenced, but that was point A. Point B, the big reveal of the killer being Amleth's uncle it's a nose hair away from being identical to Thulsa Doom, aka James Earl Jones' first scene in Conan. The slow removal of the helmet, in snow, beautiful hair, great hair, some of the best hair I've ever seen.
Okay.
Watch the opening of Conan when Thulsa Doom, aka James L. Jones, comes into Amleth's village, Conan's village, removes his helmet slowly, and then cuts the head off the husband and mummy daddies.
So it's same again.
Very similar,
Okay,
yeah.
but that's a fair dislike, I think. If you know the
This
source
is still
material
dislike
it's pulled
one.
from.
That was piece of evidence B.
Okay. Oh, so there's a C. There's more. Okay.
There's a C and a D.
Okay, hit me with your C and D.
Yeah. 28 minutes in, it's very reminiscent of Klimov's Come and See, when they herd all the women and children and men into a barn and then set it on fire.
Okay.
The way the camera even moves.
Yeah. I've seen
Camera's
that film.
panning around the village.
Yeah.
It's anarchy. Some are laughing while women are being raped, attacked, and then they just herd kids into a barn and set it on fire, and the camera zooms in on the barn while it's on fire.
Okay.
I thought, I'm just seeing too many films. It's too soon into this film to not have its own identity. The last point, Lion King.
Okay. Oh, the film's Lion King.
The film is Lion King.
Lion King's a good film.
Yeah, but it is Lion King.
Lion King is Hamlet.
Daddy Lion gets killed.
Mufasa.
Baby one runs away.
Simba.
Gets taken in by... Yeah. Then he comes back stronger and overthrows his daddy's throne. Wait, does that mean Lion King's Hamlet?
Yeah, it is.
Amleth.
And Hamlet is Amleth.
Yes.
Nothing is original. That's the main takeaway from this podcast episode.
Okay.
And you have a problem with that. And you should have a problem with that.
No, but it's like liking the scenes I liked. I was like, I could go and get this from Conan, and which I enjoy a lot more.
Yeah.
And it's mad to say because obviously, as everyone knows, Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't necessarily a good actor, but he's a great action
Star.
yeah, hero. And he's not the best thing about Conan. The best thing about Conan is the score, is the setting, it's the support actors. Yeah, I was like, I'm watching this, I'm like, this is just Conan. There's nothing's original about it.
So it's kind of like making a curry and then having the curry the day after.
And it's not good.
And it's not good.
Yeah.
So in this instance...
Because you didn't use the right herbs and spices.
So in this instance, day-old curry doesn't work.
Day-old curry doesn't work if I went for a masala, but the one I took out of the fridge was a madras. Because then I'm confused as to why they couldn't just be more original. I mean, that opening is shocking. That opening is one of the worst Poppadom copy jobs I've ever seen.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's dislike 1 with 5 pieces of evidence.
Okay, there's more. Good.
Dislike 2. I dislike that this film reminded me that Basil Poledouris is dead and he's not coming back.
Right, I need you to tell me who Basil Poledouris is.
He did the score for Conan.
Okay.
Star.
Okay.
3. Third dislike.
Okay. Is this one Conan-based?
No.
Curry-based?
No, just poor filmmaking based.
Oh, okay.
Or unbelievable, I suppose.
All right.
I'm not even going to... I like this because I'm not even letting you ask me anymore. Do you have any more dislikes? I just feel like I'm on a roll.
Yeah, you're just going to splurge it all out and I just take it.
I'm just going to hit you with it.
Yeah.
The way the film constructed Amleth's escape, which was full of plot holes, relied on chance and incompetent guards. It annoyed me. That really annoyed me. Professional warriors focus all their attention on Ethan Hawke's character, pepper him with arrows. Dude, they're horsemen without arrows. It's like, well, there's 2 guys. They both need to die. Otherwise, we can't overthrow the kingdom. You just get them both with arrows. But they're so like blatantly let the boy run. Just for Klaus Bang to turn around and go, "Oh, bring me the boy's head." No, just pepper him with arrows as well.
Yeah, yeah.
You're professional soldiers.
Two for one.
Yeah,
Like a meal deal.
yeah.
Don't just get a sandwich. Get sandwich and crisps and a drink. Nail them all at once.
Just do it all at once. But
Yeah.
and then just say it could have been shot. They could have hit him with a disabling arrow, even in the ankle, bring him down. They would have just done them both with arrows. I don't see why he managed to get away.
My one and only argument to that is that would be a very short film.
No, but there's ways you could have done it. So how I would have done it was Ethan Hawke left at the Uppsala temple first, took in the snow, whilst the young lad was still in the temple. Then Ethan Hawke gets hit with arrows, Amleth escapes out the back.
So he sees Daddy get mowed down and then he runs away.
He out the back door.
Yeah, that makes
I'm not
sense.
saying every church has a back door. Oh.
Yeah, okay.
But it was just in plain sight, young boy, golden necklace and everything, looking all glorious, licking snow. You would have done them both. It was just, that was ridiculous. And the fact that his way of escaping the town, which he's got back to at the same time as the guy who's snouty to cut off in defence, that was weird as well. He puts on a red cape to escape. And he takes it from a dead body of someone on the floor. So they got killed for wearing and had a red cape on. What is the significance of him being able to escape with a red cape? Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Is it Schindler's List?
So Eggers is doing a heckin' borrow again.
I don't know. But I thought that was ridiculous because in a really dreary, rainy Iceland where loads of people are being slaughtered in the streets, my eye would go to the red cape. If I saw it anywhere, I'd be like, red cape.
Yeah.
Look how bright and vibrant that is.
Yeah, that red cape's running away. Let's kill it.
Found that odd.
Okay.
I didn't like his escape.
That's fair enough.
It was full of plot holes. I'm not the only one that thinks it. I read online some people have found that annoying.
Okay.
Hides behind a rock until the last minute and then he goes, bring me the boy's head.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you would have done them both with arrows.
Yeah.
If you look at any part of history, if people want to get deadened by someone, they get them deadened.
Yeah.
They do it. Look at the Black Feast up in Scotland when the two Scottish princes got invited to a meal. It's what the Red Wedding's based on Game of Thrones. True story.
Yeah.
They didn't kill one and let one try and escape. They just did them both at the same time.
And it's worth saying Vikings are notorious bastards. Nasty bastards. Historically, really vicious Viking
Well,
boys.
yeah, because they're raiders, aren't they?
So, yeah, they would have just mowed it down. I get what you're saying, and I do agree. Thank you for your really in-depth dislikes.
I just
enjoyed
thought
that.
I'd get them all out of the way because I was...
Get 'em off your chest, mate.
I was hovering around them anyway during the likes, so I thought
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
just bang them out.
Yeah, you feel better for it?
Yeah, man.
Good. Well, my main dislike was Nicole Kidman.
Ugh.
What was she doing in this, man? I'm not face shaming or anything, but trying to age a face that has obviously had so much work done to make her seem younger, it looked ridiculous.
Skinned squirrel.
It's like a caricature mask. Like towards the end of the film, it looked like she was wearing this sort of weird, like, do you remember Bo Selector? Where
Huge plastic head.
Yeah, huge plastic masks of celebrities, and the guy that was wearing the mask took the piss out of them. It looked like Nicole Kidman was wearing a big face mask of herself. But you can't de-age a face that has spent tens of thousands of dollars to try and make it look younger. It looks ridiculous.
She would have looked good just aged, actually. She was always such a beautiful actor.
Yeah, she was a great actor, but I'm not digging her out. I kind of am. But vanity's got in the way. And look, none of us like getting older. And even if I had loads of money, I don't think I'd get that Botox shocked clown look. I don't think it's a good look on anyone. And in this film, in an age where what was it, 9th century? Is that right?
Yes.
Like, no one's having Botox. And it just, for me, it stood out like a sore thumb. It's like, why has that person got plastic face?
Maybe she drank from the fountain of youth.
That fountain of youth has been tainted with plastic.
Fountain of plastic. Yeah.
Fountain of plastic.
So it's a subtext to ruining the oceans.
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman is part of the ocean.
Wow.
She got better in the film, I found. I think her opening scenes, I was like, this is too distracting.
Yeah.
I think she's got this because she's called Nicole Kidman and her hair's blonde. But when she has her dialogue later in the film with her reuniting with her son Amleth, and even you as the audience member, you don't know yet that Nicole Kidman is some really fucked up Lady Macbeth sort of character. You don't realise she's actually quite dark, and she actually ordered the murder of her own son and husband because she didn't like her existence with her King Ordvandil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't realise until later in the film that she is, you know, a quite a messed up individual.
Yeah.
But when they reunite, I found her scene with him was good. I found the fact that she turns from a distance, from a third person view. She's like caring about her new kid, and it's almost like Amleth understands that she didn't have a choice. She was forced into this marriage, and then you realise, no, she wanted it all. If you watch it as well, the plot only ever moves forward through the female characters. It only ever moves forward through Taylor-Joy and Nicole Kidman's actions. It doesn't move forward through anyone else's. So when she has to kiss her own son in this, doesn't she?
She don't have to.
She does, though. She tongues her own son, the character.
That's a problem.
Yeah, he's only 9 years younger than her in real life.
Yeah.
That's weird. Yeah, I found she got better in the film.
I think her best part in the film was when she, spoiler alert, got killed. She bothered the fuck out of me in this film.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I liked, past tense, Nicole Kidman. She was a great actor, but in this, I just found her so jarring.
You know she's alive?
Yeah.
Oh.
If she listens to this,
Like
brilliant.
you've put her in the dead category.
No, well,
She was a great actor.
Well, I think she's put herself there with recent performances.
I don't know. That's, to me, it reeks of not a great script can infect that character. Like the dialogue that has to be shared between her and Ethan Hawke at the start. It's confusing. She actually shows concern and worry for Ethan Hawke when he says, I think the enemy got a taste of my liver, and he thinks he's going to die, so he wants to name Amleth king. And she's actually, why show her concern for him?
I think it was just to show her that her plastic face can show some sort of emotion.
And during that coup d'etat that the brother causes and takes over the whole village, right? So he's done the job. Why do they wear masks? It's not like you're going to hide the fact that it's you, is it?
I don't know, man. There's a few problems with this film, I think, and you've touched on them.
No, it's not that. It's just I didn't see the point in the mask reveal with the snow and stuff.
Well, it was obviously him.
Well, yeah, but even if it wasn't, everyone would know quite quickly. It doesn't matter who's hit you with 6 arrows, does it?
No.
You've been hit with 6 arrows.
Yeah.
So when he comes over, gets off the horse and takes his helmet off, it's like, oh, I'm so surprised you didn't know it's me, Daddy. And Ethan Hawke's like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
So Nicole Kidman you hate?
I don't hate her. I hated her in this.
Well, she's a horrible mum.
In this,
If anything, she's so cruel.
In this.
Yeah, in this.
Yeah, yeah.
In this, like to say to Amleth after the life he's just had, look, I didn't love you.
Yeah, it's cold.
I even ordered your death.
Yeah.
It was cruel. Did you notice when she, the first time you see her, her servants had taken her dress on or off, putting it on, I think. Yeah. He bursts in the room and she's really angry about him coming in the room. It's so he didn't see the slave thing, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
The slave, what's it called? A burn?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. They do it to cows.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Let's not move on until we get it.
Well, we'll be here for a long time.
Sigil.
Cattle sting.
Cattle sting. No.
Cattle, hot rod.
Brand.
That's the word we struggled with.
Schnook.
Brand.
Yeah, brand.
My second dislike, wasted talent. Ethan Hawke and Willem Dafoe had interesting characters, but they were hardly used. Now, I know the story was focused on telling this tale of vengeance, but when you've got two great actors that just have burping and fart sniffing cameos,
that was a dislike, but I didn't like it.
It did feel like a waste. I would have loved to have seen more with Dafoe as this feral jester that's got pearls of wisdom and really sound advice, and he's hardly in it. And
I'll do you one better than that, mate. One that was a real fucking waste. Ralph Ineson. He's just on the boat. But he has 2-3 words of dialogue. And I love Ralph Ineson. He's got one of the greatest acting voices on earth.
I'd love that voice.
Defoe's part was great, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't in it that much. Like, I didn't even realise that dummy little head that's been mummified was him. I didn't realise that was him.
So in context of the film, he goes to get this prophetical blade that he's got to slain his uncle with.
And it all happens to be in Iceland.
Yeah. And he goes and speaks to this witch, and he's got like a shriveled head.
Yeah.
And that sort of gives him advice, like tells him what's gone down and stuff. Yeah. Even if Dafoe was in it more as a shriveled head.
Talking with eyes open.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I meant when I said I want more of the fantastical stuff.
Yeah.
Like if he was a head talking, like Bishop from Aliens, like, not bad for human. Like, that'd have been cool. Yeah. It struggles to find its own identity in my eyes.
Yeah, I tend to agree. My final dislike was the ending. It felt like a frustrating 0-0 football result. The whole film built up to a showdown, and whilst I liked the backdrop of hell, which visually was striking, the fires, the music, everything just worked. But the fight itself, while it was gnarly, the conclusion left me feeling a bit disappointed. Like, the film is all leading up to this final fight.
It's just a buffet of death.
It's a buffet of naked
man death.
Yeah, and the film was never going to end in any other way than them both dying. And we see Amleth, Skarsgård's character, ascending to Valhalla. It was always going to end like that. The film is focused on a prophecy about he's meant to do these things, so he's going to do these things. But then
it's just full of bad choices, isn't it?
But that final fight, it should have been. Whilst it was visually engaging and the score and stuff with it should have been the pinnacle, the cherry on top. It should have been this final fight that we've been waiting for 2 hours to have. It should be epic. It should have been, like you say, more fantasy. There should have been other stuff involved. It should have been this huge face-off at the end, and it kind of just wasn't.
If everything's fated in it, though, and it is all prophecy, then it's prophesied that he was going to murder a young prince, a young 7-year-old kid and his mum. It's prophesied he was going to kill them.
Yeah, but I think that was in the terms and conditions. The small print at the end, at the bottom, and he didn't read it, which he maybe should have, and then he'd be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't go killing my...
Is that why he can't use the sword?
Yeah.
He can't pull the sword out unless it's a part of the prophecy.
Exactly. So the stars have aligned, the gods have spoken, it has to happen this way. So he couldn't just go and mow down his uncle as soon as he see him. It had to be in front of hell. It had to be this huge...
And hell in the film is essentially a volcano in Iceland.
Yeah.
When he said, I'll see you at the gates of hell, I assumed it was going to be philosophical, metaphorical.
Yeah, yeah. I just think it could have. It ties into what you said. Like when it sort of flirts with the fantasy elements. We spoke about the tree of death. Valkyrie taking him to Valhalla.
Yeah,
that's when the film's at its strongest.
Yeah.
If they tuned into that throughout the whole of the story, like you said, that battle with the ship moon demon god skeleton thing.
Yes.
Like if there was more of that, if the whole film
Dragir.
was that, yeah, and the finale was maybe him fighting his uncle and then loads of like hell demon boys or something really fantastical. It just would have felt better.
But the fantasy parts are all imagination, aren't they? None of them are actually in the film, if you get what I mean. Like the Dragir, he imagines he's fighting this ancient skeletal crusty warrior, but it actually hasn't occurred. You see them fight, and then it cuts back to where just before they had the fight, and he just takes the sword off a skeleton.
Yeah.
The Valkyrie stuff we know isn't real. It's just that Anna Taylor-Joy found him, made him better, and he was close to death, but she saved him. And then this second Valkyrie, he's finally died.
Yeah.
So all the fantastical stuff in it, you almost got to ask yourself, is it just in his imagination?
It's a good point.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know. They're not very well defined, really.
I think that's valid. I've got some questions if you're interested.
Please.
Where does The Northman sit in your Robert Eggers ranking?
Third.
Yeah.
Lighthouse, Vitch, Northman.
That's a bingo. Me, exactly the same.
That's a bingo.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same, yeah. And that's not to say I didn't enjoy The Northman, but considering when you look at his other films, like, it's someone being in complete control of what they're doing. And as a result, they're better films because you're not sitting there going, I don't think he wanted that, or that's not Eggers. So it's like
to share a
pure,
vision,
strong,
didn't he?
yeah, and it's a damn shame. Do you think The Northman isolates audiences that don't have a basic understanding of Norse mythology?
I think mythology alone is the answer in that question. It's mythology. I don't think it matters whether you understand it or not. You've got to have an interest in it to understand it, haven't you?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think if you didn't know anything about, so like Odin is represented through mythology, through the ravens are his eyes, and like the wolf, he's a prevalent figure within the film. It shows him where to go. It's like a compass. That is Odin, the prophecy side of the story, telling him where he has to go. And I think there's parts of that film that use those sort of visual nods. That it's like, okay, this is prophecy, this is Odin. You see the ravens help him escape when he's tied up.
There is familiars, aren't they, or something? There is. He sees through their eyes.
Yeah, he sees through. Yeah, they're his eyes on the ground, sort of thing. And I went when I saw this at the cinema with my partner. Afterwards, she said, "Well, I don't know anything about Norse mythology, so I was lost on a lot of it." And I was like, "Well, I can see why you say that. I got a basic understanding through playing computer games, watching Vikings, playing God of War, and that I've got a general understanding of the basics, the fundamentals." And it just made me think, if you don't have even that basic understanding, I think you might struggle a little bit.
Yeah, because if you're watching it from a realistic standpoint, the circumstances onto which the story progresses, because he happens upon Bjork as a seeress in a hut. He happens upon a guy who tells him about a sword.
Convenient?
Convenient, yeah.
Yeah.
It's way too convenient. And it's kind of like, well, he hasn't earned it. Like, the character development in it is crap.
Yeah.
You don't see character development in this.
No.
Everything's convenient.
Yeah.
Anna Taylor-Joy rubbed period blood on that guy's face.
That came out of nowhere. But yeah, she did, yeah.
She did, didn't she?
Yeah, she did, yeah.
That was a cool scene.
Yeah.
Because that was really, like, visceral, and that was...
It was a massive fuck you to him, wasn't it?
He'd gone there to plough, sow seeds. He'd gone there to have sex with
He
her,
went with sexual advances, and he retreated with a bloody face.
Yeah.
Because she was like, "No, you don't touch this.
Yeah.
Have this."
Yeah.
And wiped
That was quite
face
good.
with it.
That was good
That's
shot as well.
fierce.
If you watch that shot, it's a kind of a running shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell, because he comes in through the back door and you're seeing it through over, like, I think Amleth's shoulder. And then you see her reject him, and then period bloods his face.
Yeah. That's what you get.
That is what you get.
Yeah. Final question. The Northman tries to balance a basic vengeance story with a prophetical mythological tale. Do you think the film would have worked better if it stuck to one lane, or did you admire the attempt to merge the two?
I think I've watched too many films and know what I like about film for me to not adhere to this film. In the sense of, I don't mean to just cut it short like that, but I mean, it's so obvious to me that too many people were working on this film, what they all wanted to see in it.
Yeah.
It's just hard. I think Eggers regrets it. If I feel like I know him, and I think I do, I think he regrets it. I think he's like, shit.
Yeah.
You know, I was winning 2 games out of 3
Yeah.
in a baseball series.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've just lost that 3rd game.
Yeah.
Almost sweeped it.
You look at his previous films and both are striking, both are original, both are really interesting, both demand several more watches. I think with The Northman, because it's sort of built by society, like you said, there's a group of people working on it, it dilutes that voice that we're all looking for in his work.
It's not consistent.
And it's a damn shame. If it was a paint-by-numbers vengeance story, you wouldn't need to get Eggers on board. You can get any director to do that simple tale where people just, the general viewing public just want to see violence and action and do anything. Don't flirt with Eggers and his oddities and stuff without going the whole hog. And I tend to agree, either all or none.
Yeah, it's not a singular vision.
It's got to be all egg or no egg.
Ooh.
But it was half egg, half day-old curry.
Egg white and egg yolk.
Yeah. What would you give The Northman out of 10, please?
6.
Okay.
Yeah, 6.
Okay. I thought you might go a bit lower, so I like that.
Well, I'll never watch it again.
No.
Which isn't a bad thing. There's films I love I won't ever watch again because
Yeah.
sometimes they're too taxing on the soul. But with The Northman, I've watched it twice. Once with subtitles, once without.
Yeah.
And there's only a few scenes in it where subtitles are needed, aren't they? And on that second watch with the subtitles, I didn't need them. To me, none of the actual dialogue that was used with the subtitles was that essential. Essentially, Anna Taylor-Joy's, she has a scene towards the end where Amleth wants to go and fulfill his prophecy, so he dives off the boat to go and kill his uncle. And then she goes into this monologue where she's walking towards the camera on the ship. But essentially what she's asking for is like a quicker Uber. She's like, oh, God, can you put some winds into the sails so I can get to Orkney Islands quickly?
Yeah.
I was like, I thought it would be something really... I thought it was like a curse or something.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't. She just wanted a quicker taxi.
She cancelled an Uber because she saw that another Uber was closer. So,
yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I went a bit higher. I'd give it a 7. Purely because the elements of Eggers that you could see that were obvious, I like that. I like what he's about. I like that very unique, like I said earlier, that very unique voice, that very original outlook, the way he pieces things together, the way that he doesn't necessarily like to give the answers. Those moments of the film really worked. Viscerally stunning, visually stunning, like all of that. The cinematography, the sound, everything, a lot of it worked. But for me, its faults lie with the sort of generic tropes of a basic vengeance story. And now you highlighted the stealing of Conan and all of that sort of stuff.
Mimicking.
Sort of,
I think he's quite transparent about it, but that's just for me, that's not exciting.
No, but that being said, I've seen the film 3 times and I did enjoy it, which is why I'd give it a 7.
3 times.
Yeah, I can safely say I will never watch it again.
Yeah, it's not
because
needed.
it's done now. I know enough about it. That gives The Northman a total score of 13 out of 20, which isn't bad at all. If you like your films to be visceral, violent, and very, very strange, or if you have ever wanted to see Ethan Hawke and Willem Dafoe act like rabid dogs, then The Northman could be a film for you. Consider watching this one if you enjoyed The Witch, The Lighthouse, and Valhalla Rising.
And Resident Evil with Mila Jovovich.
And Resident Evil with Mila Jovovich. And Conan. And The Lion King.
Yes.
And
every revenge story on earth.
Emmerdale Omnibus. Should we play a game?
Si, senor.
The game in question is What the Plot, where the rules are simple and the results quite the opposite. Harry will conceive an original idea from his big and beautiful brain and give birth to a plot. It is then down to me to nurture this thought by providing a film title, genre, cast, and anything else I can think of to raise this brainchild into a fully functioning film concept. Over to you, Harry.
Spanish language film. I don't know why it feels, but that's what I feels. That's what I want it to be.
You've got to go with what you feels.
Got to do it. I'm going to go story about a man who was an orphan, like an outcast all his life. Okay, so just think one of the kids from City of God, I suppose. Loneliness has led him to create his own family from fabric and second-hand clothing and sticks. He first makes a woman that he courts, proposes to, marries, and eventually goes toe-to-toe with in the bed. Then he creates their first child, takes them shopping, to famous landmarks, goes on holiday with these dolls, essentially. He looks insane. Whereas everyone avoids him and calls him like a freak, etc. But he continues with this strange practice of creating family members out of twigs and that, and he's kissing them, and he's like, let's say he's at the Grand Canyon with them having a selfie. Imagine the people around watching him. Anyway, during a diner scene, so he stopped driving and he's taken his doll wife and doll child into a diner. There's a waitress who pays him some interest, and she's not put off by his quirks. No, sorry, he's not put off by his quirks. It's a man. Let's say it's two dudes. Okay. She invites himself on the trip and goes full swing into this strange hobby of his. And what actually happens is she begins to supplant. Should I say she or he? Because I'm getting confused.
You've gone with he. Let's make it a he.
Let's make it a he.
So, but the Spanish lad that's got a purpose-built doll family that he likes to pretend that he's real people's because he's lonely.
Yeah.
Let's say he meets another dude and they strike up a friendship and maybe more.
Yeah, the waiter in the diner is really into whatever this guy's crazy sort of esoteric life is raveling in front of him. The guy's an objectum sexual, essentially. He's sleeping with inanimate objects and he's got relationships with them. But now there's this real human who's paying him interest and might supplant the dolls in his life.
What's that objectum?
Objectum sexual. So it's where you have a relationship with an object rather than a living being.
There's that strange person, obviously in America, likely Florida, that got married to a roller coaster, right?
Yeah. Someone married or slept with a piece of the Berlin Wall. I remember seeing that one on a TV program.
Was it David Hasselhoff?
Yeah.
Good.
So I think the glimmer of hope that he has, now both partners begin to both partners begin to start an affair with the main mummy-wife doll. It's like becomes a weird thing where they're both in love with the doll.
Oh, so the waiter that this doll dude meets, that you think, oh, there's a love interest, the waiter actually ends up wanting to do the doll, not the dude.
Yeah, so the doll, even though it's inanimate, becomes a character and almost the third person in a love triangle.
So it's a love triangle between two dudes who might have started a relationship, but they both end up going for the same doll.
Yeah. So what starts off as probably a really beautiful and healthy transition from a guy being like, I'll spend some time with you, and he's not used to it because he's like, I'm with dolls, people think I'm weird. He goes, no, I like you. They start to get closer and closer. They probably have a sexual relationship. It's all very mixed and stuff. But then what starts to happen is he starts to notice that waiter who he thought was interested in him is actually now doing stuff with the doll.
Oh. Okay, and there's where the peril lies. It'd be very easy to call this film Guys and Doll, wouldn't it?
That's good.
But I won't do that. That's too on the nose.
Okay.
I like that. I like that story. It could be, you could look at that and be, well, this is a comedy. You've got an isolated dude who's been lonely all his life, built himself a family, literally like build a bear, but build a family, and has found comfort and found like a sexual release in the form of people he's created. That could be a funny film, but I see it
not just sex, but loneliness.
Exactly. Yeah, he's got some company, much needed company in the form of fake humans. But I'm not going to go with a comedy. I think I'll go with a more dramatic type of film that looks at the sort of the toll that loneliness can have on people.
That would definitely be the subtext.
It's a very sad film. I mean, there's an element of confidence. If you're a guy that's so lonely that decides to build himself a family and a love interest and then just go out and about in public, I mean, yeah, you could say it's delusional, but it's oddly sort of confident. Like to be able to step out and not behind closed doors, because fuck me, what people do behind closed doors is a whole different kettle of fish. But the fact that he goes out and doesn't necessarily see anything wrong with him, it's who he is. So it offers some interesting sort of subplots, which I'm quite here for.
It's like if you're the BTK killer, but you're transparent with what you do.
Yeah, I'm proud of who I am.
Yeah,
I'm a raging serial killer. Yeah. So I like that idea. Yeah. So just to quickly summarise, this is a Spanish language film. And it's this story about an outcast orphan, been lonely all his life, and this loneliness has caused him to build a family. He creates loved ones to feel part of something. He goes about his business, not realising just how strange it is, and is quite brazen, quite brash with it. He goes out, he does things with his fake family, he gets all sorts of odd looks, but he don't care because he's happy. On one of his travels, he meets a waiter who takes an interest into this guy, and the audience, we start to think, oh, maybe he could actually strike up a real relationship. Maybe like this guy is someone he's gay and just hasn't realised it, and this could be a really nice redemption arc for him, and he finds someone and he's happy. But it doesn't go that way, because the waiter he meets is also into dolls, and they end up sort of
steals them.
Yeah, they sort of end up fighting between the original doll doer is this. It finds himself in this internal struggle between the guy and the doll, and then it becomes an odd love triangle between the two dudes and the doll.
Yeah.
So it could go quite dark. They could end up being in this fierce rivalry of trying to win this piece of plastic's affections, and who knows, maybe like the audience see this doll kind of speaking to them.
Imagine the dialogue.
Yeah.
Telling off the inanimate child.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
It'd be really odd, but a really interesting film. Now, I think considering it's a Spanish language film, the director would need to be Spanish. And spinach. He'd have to be spinach. I'd go with Pedro Almodovar, and I apologise if I've said that wrong, Pedro, but he did The Skin I Live In and Pain and Glory, so you know he's capable of doing films that are a little bit off centre,
yes.
a little bit odd.
And it would be odd.
But he's also, Pain and Glory's almost like a biopic about his real life. He also handles sensitive subject matters really well, and I think he could finally balance that odd relationship between a dude and then another dude and a doll, and the families and the sort of depths of isolation and what it can how it can affect people. So I'd see elements of humour, real drama, and it could be a really considered, quite odd picture, but one that I'd love to see. And starring in the film as the original guy who builds a family of dolls, I'd go with Diego Luna. Now he's the lead in Andor. He's quite, he was in Elysium as well. He's been in loads and loads of things.
He was in Rogue One as well, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
It's the same character.
Yes, and he's got this sort of boyish charm to him, quite this innocent sort of tone to him.
Could see him playing that.
But you can also see, like in Andor specifically, he's got a bit of an edge to him, which you wouldn't necessarily think. He's got something that can be quite menacing. So I think he'd be really good in the lead. The only other casting that I've got here is the waiter he meets on his travels.
Yeah.
And I'd see it as a slightly older guy. I'd see it as Javier Bardem, who's also quite a strange character within this film. Starts off being quite warm, but maybe his ulterior motive all along was to get in with this doll. Maybe he sees something about this doll that he really likes, and she's just using Diego Luna's character to get to the doll.
Maybe he likes infiltrating stuff.
Yeah, and he's more physically menacing than Diego Luna. He's also very good at contrasting sort of intense characters with really soft characters that are really personable and loving and all of that sort of stuff. So I think the balance between them would really work. So yeah. I would love to see this film.
Do you remember the scene in We Should Talk About Kevin where Tilda Swinton, it is Tilda Swinton, isn't it?
Yes.
When she walks in a room and her son's just furiously wanking and looking at her. I imagine a scene like that where the guy from Andor walks in and Bardem's just dogging the doll.
Yeah.
And he looks at him and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's become strange.
And Luna was sort of leaning towards the idea, like, I could be in love with another actual human. This could be amazing. And then the plot thickens. He's just trying to bang your fake wife.
Yeah.
And it all gets a bit deep. It all gets a bit deep. It all gets a bit dark. But yeah, man, I think that's a great idea. So directing the film would be Pedro Almodovar, starring Diego Luna and Javier Bardem, and I'd call the film Muñeca.
What do I mean?
Doll in Spanish. I gave it a little look up.
Googled quickly.
Yeah, I gave it a little look up while you was giving me the synopsis.
That might be the best title you've ever given a film.
Yeah, Muñeca. My name is Javier. I am 28 years of age. This is my family. They are my world. This is my wife Jacinta and these are my children, Pedro and Penelope. Say hello, guys. People think I am strange. I don't think it is strange to love my family. I think they are strange for judging us.
More coffee?
No, thank you. Okay, guys, tell the nice man what you want to eat.
Heads or tails?
What?
I mean, would you like breakfast or lunch?
Don't be shy, guys. Tell the nice man what you want.
I like you guys. Maybe I should come with you.
You can come with us. People don't normally like to talk to us.
Thank you. You are handsome. And your wife, she is beautiful. It's going to be an adventure.
The new film from Pedro Almodovar, starring Diego Luna and Javier Bardem, Muñeca.
Non aveva película de Pedro Almodovar, protagonizada por Diego Luna y Javier Bardem, Muñeca.